Hi. This is a ladies' luncheon, and today we have Rachel Cristol and Evelyn Siegel and Roz Rosenthal. And I asked them a question. I said, what was your fondest, one of your fond, because it can't be the fondest, one of your fond memories of time at Bethel and sharing with friends? So Rachel says one, and she's going to tell us now.
Well, my fondest memory of Temple Bethel is when my son, Reuben Cristol, had his bar mitzvah because he was the first boy to have it. That's why I mentioned him. My second is Lewis, and I was very fond, too, of that memory. But I remember Reuben because he was my first, and I shall never forget it.
Neither will I. So, well, give it to me. Yeah, go. Yeah, this is... I think my fondest memory... this is Roz. At my first, my fondest memory at Bethel congregation was when they changed the trumpet player from playing the konidre. They used to play it when I first moved here, which was in 1946. They used to bring in Yom Kippur when they played. What do they call that? Is it the call?
Call Nidre.
Call?
Call
Not the song. No, I don't want the song, but the blowing of the horn, the shofar.
The chauffeur. Yes.
The blowing of the shofar when I first moved to... I have to take a drink. It's a little slow with me.
It's all right. They told me I have an hour.
Okay. Should I start over?
No, you can continue just where you were.
I'm continuing from where I was. I moved to Fort Worth, Texas, to Bethel congregation in 1946, January of 1946. That was 76 years ago. And my fondest memory, in the very beginning of my meeting Bethel congregation, and it was a fond memory, was the blowing of the shofar, and it was blown on a trumpet. And I couldn't get over it. And I've never heard, it blown that way. And my synagogue was, a horn. And then my fondest memory became when they blew the shofar on the beautiful horn, and it was so beautiful. Mm-hmm. Do you want any more than one?
Oh, you can, whatever. You continue.
My children's bar mitzvah and bat mitzvahs, as Rachel said, were very, very memorable. My daughter's wedding at the temple. Marsha and John Mike Cohen. And that was in 1970. Was just beautiful memory. And I have very many happy times connected with Bethel congregation.
Okay. And now...
It'll come around.
And now, Evelyn Siegel will share.
My fondest memory of Bethel was meeting all the wonderful women that I became acquainted with over the years that have been my friends for all these many years. And one of them is Roz Rosenthal. She was one of the ones that I met when I had two little boys.
That's right.
Standing out in front of Bethel.
That's right.
And Roz Rosenthal came over and introduced herself. That was my first introduction to being a member of a congregation. However, Frida Bell Antwile took me under her wing when Frida Bell Antwile.
Oh, yeah.
I can name so many people that were so kind and so wonderful to me and my family. I came from a ultra-religious Orthodox shul, and here we had a very relaxed way of knowing everybody in the congregation.
Are you finished?
I eat very fast.
Huh?
I eat very fast.
I know you do, but you couldn't eat it all.
Huh?
So it's all
I
finished?
ate this. No, I didn't finish it all.
Oh,
Rosie, go ahead, continue.
oh, I'm sorry.
And of course, all of my children have grown up in this temple and been bar mitzvahed. And 2 of them were married in the temple. It has been a home for us, a real home, when they call making your religious institution your other home. Bethel has been our other home through Bob Schur, through Mecklenburger, and now Zimmerman. We've had wonderful rabbis and wonderful people to make everybody feel welcome, including me.
Did you eat all the fruit too?
Beautiful. Well, this is the ladies' luncheon today on the 11th, Friday, the 11th of November, 2022. Still having conversation. This is Maddie Lesnick. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye. So the question that I'm going to ask now is, how did you feel and what did you envision when you found out that you were going to have your family located in Fort Worth, Texas? So I'm going to have
They went to
Evelyn.
Mineral Wells first.
Okay, well, share whatever.
When I told my father that I was getting married and moving to Texas, I could have said I was moving to China.
That's right.
He said, "Where?" And I said, "Texas." And I had no idea what Mineral Wells, Texas was going to be like. When I called him and told him that I had found an apartment in Mineral Wells, Texas, he said, "What are you going to do with it?" And I said, "I'm going to live there, Daddy. I'm far from home. It took us 3 days driving to get from Columbia, South Carolina to Texas."
You had the 2 kids? No, you didn't have any kids, did you? You were just
No,
married.
we were just married.
Yeah, right.
Well, we were married maybe 6 months because we lived in a town called Bennettsville, South Carolina, when we first married.
Where, what was it named?
Bennettsville. Because Martin was in charge of the plant there.
Oh.
So then we found out that we were going to be opening a plant in Mineral Wells, Texas. And so we packed up our stuff, and my husband then said, "You can take 1 trunk and 1 suitcase. Don't tell me you're going to take all this stuff that you've got with you, because I'm telling you, Evelyn, it's 1 trunk, 1 suitcase." I have never opened that trunk. It has my dolls in it from when I was a little girl. Everything that is in that
haven't
trunk
opened it?
is from my high school.
You have that trunk?
I do have the trunk.
Oh my, what a wonderful thing for your kids to look through with you.
I don't know. It's probably eaten up by something
No, I
now.
don't think so.
No, that would be
It's some,
Was
some,
it a steamer truck?
it was a steamer from World War One. A real steamer.
Yeah, a steamer truck. You know, that's what I sent Marcia to Washington University in, the steamer truck.
Uh-huh.
She had to get the boys to help her carry it up the steps to her dorm room.
Sure.
Mother, she said, we'll never do that again. I said, no.
Well, I'm going to tell you.
How did you get the steamer truck in your, did you go in a car?
No, I put it on a truck.
Oh.
We had opened a plant in Mineral Wells.
Did you have a truck to drive?
They put the trunk on one of the trucks that were taking
right.
supplies to the new.
What did you think of Mineral Wells when you saw it?
Well, he had told me it was very small.
Right.
And as you come over the hill,
Yeah.
coming into Mineral Wells, all you could see was the Baker Hotel.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, oh, Martin, you lied to me. Look at that big building. He said, don't be fooled, Ev. It's the biggest building in town.
That's right.
It was the Baker Hotel.
We used to go there.
Yeah. For
Yep.
the hot springs, did
Yeah.
you go to the springs?
So did we.
Wells.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lived in Mineral Wells 5 years, and it was like living
Baker
in.
Hotel.
I've never been there.
It was. If it hadn't been for my doctor's wife, who was very kind, and the man who was our salesperson, they were Presbyterian, but they understood Jews. I don't know what I would have done, because there were no Jewish people. Martin's cousin was there,
Oh, yeah. What was his name?
Sylvia and Maddie Siegel.
Yeah, that's
You want
right.
to take that, or you?
I'm going to take this home, darling.
Okay.
I'm not going to waste
You have
it.
a box?
Yeah, I'll take the box.
Good.
Anyway,
Do you have anything left, Rachel?
No, I didn't have
Let her finish.
She finished. Rachel eats very fast.
No, Evelyn's still talking.
I went through a long time ago already.
And he's still talking about Mineral Wells.
well, you know what?
What?
I thought I was going to die in Mineral Wells, but I had 2 children in Mineral Wells at the Catholic hospital, and they were wonderful to me. And they brought me presents. They knitted stuff for the babies and what have you. Martin remodeled the hospital baby department, new the sinks and what have you, and we were just tight like this with the Catholic nuns. They were so lovely, and when I had my britches, I had brought the rabbi from Fort Worth. I'm trying to think of his name. He came to do the bris for my 2 books for each one of the boys, and I had all the wine, and I gave the wine that was left over to the sisters in the hospital. They were still wearing habits then, the long habits, and
What kind of habits? Oh, you mean the nuns?
their
Oh,
uniform.
yes.
His sisters put them up under their arms so that nobody would see it, and they took it to their kitchen. They didn't want anybody to know they were going to drink the wine themselves.
Oh,
We had wine, and we had all the trimmings brought from Fort Worth, and I don't remember the rabbi. He wasn't still here.
oh.
We can look it up.
Do they have a rabbi in Mineral Wells?
No, she brought the rabbi from Fort Worth.
Yeah,
So
Just a minute. What year?
when Jeff was born.
Uh-huh. What year?
Oh God, I don't remember.
Well, let's figure it out, because that's who the rabbi would be.
Jeff is 72. My Jeff is 72.
Okay, 72, and Billy is 71, and Rabbi Shaw was the rabbi. Abby?
Uh-huh,
Rabbi Shaw.
he was. No, the first,
Yeah, because I remember Billy was bar mitzvah with Rabbi Shore.
That was 13
Oh.
years.
Yes, bar mitzvah your kids.
And
I mean, Rabbi Shore.
Rabbi Shore.
Yeah, he did, Reuben.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, my kids were crazy about him.
I'm sure.
He and
Martha
Raleigh.
kept looking for a rabbi like Bob, and I said, Martha, you're not going to find a rabbi.
Rabbi's daughter married my nephew.
Yeah, right. Did you know she died?
Sally died
Sally died,
recently
Rachel.
in the
Did you
last
know she
year.
died?
I think I knew she died.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was a while ago.
Yeah.
No, it ended very long
What
ago.
did she die from?
Within the
She just died. I think it was a heart attack. She,
How old was she? Would you say?
I don't know, I don't remember.
she was.
Huh?
I don't remember how.
I don't remember, crazy girl. You
Yeah,
know, she divorced.
I know. Yeah, my nephew.
Okay.
Is that the nephew that?
Now,
That's from
Rachel.
Tyler, Texas.
Yeah, I know.
Rachel, either you or Rosie talk about your first experience or when you found out you were coming to Fort Worth. Rosie, you want to talk about when you found out?
When you came to Fort Worth.
Right. You want to talk, Rachel?
Rachel, do you want to talk?
I knew I was always coming to Fort Worth when I met David because he was a Texan.
And he was from Fort Worth.
And he was from Fort Worth, so I knew I was going to marry him. I knew that if I married David, I was coming to Fort Worth. So it was no surprise to me, but I didn't want to.
No, of course not.
Of course not. And when I got to Fort Worth, there was one woman here, Roz Rosenthal,
Uh-huh.
who also was from the East. And we became great friends. And it was a help that she was from the East.
Yeah, it was. We bemoaned our
Yeah.
fate together.
We were moaned together that we were Texans. And but now we're together again, thank God, and we're smiling and laughing many years later.
Right.
And we are Texans.
Yeah. Well, mine, Roz Rosenthal's. When I said goodbye at my wedding in 1946, and Evelyn, speaking of your daddy, saying, "Where is Fort Worth?" My father started to cry, and everybody around started to cry. My Uncle Izzy, and I don't know who else was nearby. But anyway, I got to Fort Worth, and, I had come to Fort Worth, by the way, everyone, before I got married so I could see everything.
And you met Manny's family then?
No, I met Manny's family 2 years before.
Okay.
But when we got there was one of those parties that they used to have. Evie, you remember the assembly balls?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
That the Jewish assembly.
That's right. The coming
You know?
out party.
Yeah, just turn the phone around the other way.
Oh, I'm talking to the back. No, I'm talking
this
right.
way.
The microphone's
This
on
way.
the
Wait
very
a
top.
minute.
Oh, the microphones. Oh,
There you go. Okay.
never knew that.
It's okay. Well, no, it's on the bottom, closer to where your mouth is. So
Oh,
yeah,
Where'd you get that pretty cover?
oh, I see. In.
yeah. Okay, so continue. I'm sorry, just to make sure that it was picking you
Make
up.
sure you get here.
So you came to Fort Worth.
I came to Fort Worth, flew for the first time in my life.
Oh, my God.
That was really.
We flew from LaGuardia
Oh yeah.
to Fort Worth, landed in Fort Worth at the Meacham Field in those days,
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah.
and a friend of Manny's met us at the airport to see us. It was 2:00 in the morning. And we left. We went to Pierre, by the way, to spend our wedding night in a beautiful, beautiful wedding suite in New York City. And I wrote a letter to my mother and daddy my wedding night.
Oh
And Manny said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm writing a letter to thank Mother and Daddy for this beautiful wedding we just had." He almost rolled his eyes in front of me. But anyway, my cousins picked us up and took us to the airport. And when we arrived in Meacham Field, we got on another plane to go to Mexico City. And when I tell you that plane bounced the entire time.
Is that where you went on your honeymoon, to Mexico City?
We went to Mexico City on our honeymoon. We were gone a month. We went from one coast, from the Pacific coast, the East Coast to the West Coast. That whole month. We went to Guadalajara. We went to I used to know the name of it. It's like on the tip of my tongue. Has anybody been to Mexico?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you ever go to a place up north of Mexico City? Sandra, it won't come out.
I mean the art colony?
Huh?
The art colony up there?
No, it's it's in mountainous area.
Oh.
It looks like you're in the Alps, but you're not. Of course, it's not that high. Anyway, and then we came to Fort Worth. Mm-hmm. My mother-in-law had a great big reception for us. Mm. My father and my uncle and aunt came to the reception. Manny and I were late for the reception. My mother-in-law did not like it at all. Mm. And then I moved to a little apartment on Hemphill Street. It has just been redone, the apartment building. I cried every day. No car. So I walked from my apartment on Hemphill to my mother-in-law's house almost every day because I didn't like staying alone in the apartment. I would send my roaches back to my neighbor, and then she would send them back to me. When she exterminated, they'd come back to me. Yeah. First time I'd ever seen a roach, ladies.
Yeah.
I never saw one in Trenton.
Roaches
Huh?
in South Carolina.
Yeah,
Did they have them?
In the warm temperatures, yes, they do.
Yes.
See, we didn't have them. Did you have them in Massachusetts? Roaches?
Have what?
Roaches.
Yes.
You
In
did?
our apartment. Yes.
Bugs? Those big bugs?
Roaches. Roaches.
Oh,
In the
yay.
I
wall.
used to say they're so big you can ride on them.
Yes.
Well, you know, our son was an exchange student in Mexico,
Uh-huh.
down in the Yucatan.
Oh.
And he said, "Mom, the roaches are so gigantic." She says, "But these homes are clean, but the wealthier you are, the bigger the roaches."
The what?
The more they have to eat.
The wealthier
The bigger
you
the
are,
roaches.
The bigger the roaches.
And what did you say? The bigger the roaches, what?
The
The wealthier you are, the bigger the roach.
The wealthier you are?
The bigger the roach.
Why?
I don't know. They
Just
just
said
like
that.
us. There
It's
was
a joke, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, there was plenty of food around.
Well, they had plenty of food to eat
Okay,
in
this is
the
being recorded. We don't want to talk about roaches.
No.
Are you finished talking?
Yes.
Okay, give me back the phone.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to put it back on here.
Okay. All right. Let's see where we are. I'm going to record for us today.
Huh?
I'm going to record again for us today. And I'm going to tell you about the pea soup. And then I'm going to ask if you can share with us. So today is Thursday. And it's the ladies' luncheon. Unfortunately, Rachel wasn't able to join us. She fell and has a sore rib. I think that's what it was because I visited. Okay, so I want to tell you, ladies, about the pea soup that you're eating. And I think, Rosie, you know this story.
I do, but Evelyn doesn't.
Okay. So this was my mom's recipe, And it's her favorite soup, and everyone in the family loved this pea soup. And she'd sit and she'd cook it all day and was very proud to serve the pea soup. So Larry and I started dating, and he came for dinner one night. And my mother made pea soup. And she goes to serve the pea soup, and Larry said, "No, thank you. I don't like peas." And my brothers, who were sitting at the table at the time, said, "Oh, all over, all done for him. He'll never make it into the family if he doesn't like Mom's pea soup." That was her pride and joy.
And I remember you telling me this story.
But he didn't like it, huh?
He never even tasted it. Now he does. Now he does. Yeah.
Yours is delicious.
So I wanted to ask each of you, what was a favorite recipe that you brought from home to your home? Because I brought the pea soup from my mom. And that your kids especially enjoyed, either anytime or a holiday food or something, because both you ladies are from the East.
I can do that right away.
Okay. Then
No,
tell.
I'm from the South.
Well, yes, the South. So here, Rosie, you could
I can't read.
okey-dokey. There, I think you'll be okay.
I won't be okay because I can't reach it.
They'll still be able to. They'll hear it. You'll hear.
My favorite soup among my grandchildren was my chicken soup for the holidays. And I made it on Rosh Hashanah, and I made it on Yom Kippur, and I made it on Passover. They loved my chicken matzo ball soup. And in fact, we had it out of a beautiful soup tureen, and we used to drink it out of a teacup instead of a big soup bowl.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Was there something?
But not at Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah and Passover, we always ate it out of a nice soup bowl. That was mine. Can you bring it around for Evelyn? Let me see if I can do it with my knife.
No, I got it. But it doesn't have to be soup.
Oh,
Just
okay.
whatever the favorite dish that you brought,
Oh.
like from the East Coast. Mine happened
Well,
to
that
be
was my
soup.
favorite soup.
Okay. Well, let me have Evelyn talk about the favorite
Right,
dish.
I know what she's going to talk about.
Oh, okay.
Let's see if I'm right.
Oh, you want me to tell you what my family thinks the best?
Favorite of
The
the
best. And was it from the South, or was it anything that you adopted from
Your mom.
From my mother.
your mom?
My mother was foreign born,
Okay.
born in Riga,
Latvia?
Latvia.
We visited there.
That's right. But the recipe that my kids love and have accepted for their cookbooks, they have all taken pictures of the recipe, is my meat rolling cabbage.
That's what I knew.
Yeah, sweet and
knew
sour
that was
cabbage, meat rolling cabbage. They each have taken that recipe. They love it. And I make it for them when I know they're going to be coming. It's a lot of work.
It is.
It is a lot of work,
Yeah.
but they love it.
Was there any special holiday that the kids absolutely? You said you made your soup for all the holidays. Was there something else that you made that the kids totally enjoy?
My kids like latkes
We're getting ready for latke time now.
and chopped liver.
And chopped liver.
Liver.
How did you make your latkes? Did you? My mother and I, of course, we didn't have Cuisinarts then, so they always said the special ingredient in my latkes was a little bit of blood from grating it.
A little bit of what?
Blood, because I would grate it on that grater, and if I didn't skin my thing all the
your
time,
knuckles.
yeah, it was always just a little special ingredient that was there. So How did you make your latkes, Evelyn?
I'll tell you my story.
Okay.
I taught at Country Day for years and years, and every Christmas we'd have a Christmas party, and everybody would contribute to the Christmas party. And one year, Peter Schwartz, the headmaster, said, "It's time for you to have the Hanukkah party." For you to make
Latkes.
yes, to make the latkes. And I said, "Okay, dumb, dumb, dumb." I had a student, Carla Olin, who said, "I'll help make the latkes."
Uh-huh.
And so she helped peel. We peeled 20 pounds of potatoes.
Uh-huh.
And we grated 20 pounds of potatoes. Except by then, I had gotten a Cuisinart, and I made latkes coming out of the kazoo. And it was the best Christmas party they ever had.
A little Jewishness.
They loved the
Love the
latkes.
latkes. Well, they're potato latkes.
Right.
They're potato pancakes, really.
Right.
What can be
bad?
bad?
The sandwich is good.
Good. So did you serve applesauce or sour cream with it, or?
Strawberries.
Always applesauce, always sour cream. The heavy, the applesauce that was strained,
Uh-huh.
and the applesauce that was chopped.
Oh, chunky. They called it chunky.
Chunky.
That had the apples in there.
What do they call it?
Chunky, because it had pieces of apple in it. It
Uh-huh.
wasn't just smooth, plain. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
And I'm telling you, they never had so much good food. That faculty never had so much good food. Do you remember?
Evelyn, you should introduce yourself and say you were at the art department at Country Day, so, because she's going to use this.
okay. So,
She's gonna what?
Tell them that you were the teacher at Country Day, is why they asked you to make
Well-
Jewish latkes.
The wonderful thing is that when I went to teach at Country Day, they did not have an art department. The kids drew pictures in their homerooms with their homeroom teacher. And the headmaster said, "We need to have a place for them to make art. I need an art teacher." And they had tried 3 different people, and it didn't work out. One man was just awful, and he got fired immediately. And the one lady, her husband went overseas with the air factory, and she was gone, and he was left. My kids came home and said, "Mother, we're not having art anymore at Country Day." And I said, "What? What? No art?" They said, "No art. There's nobody to teach." I said to Peter Schwartz, who I had to the house
Was
for...
he Jewish?
No. Oh, absolutely not.
German for it. It
Well,
was probably German.
who?
Schwartz is a German name.
Well, I think it depends on how you spell it.
Uh-huh.
Really. Anyway, I called my friend Laura McGowan, and I said, "Let's go open the art department." We were in a prefab, an army prefab. Half of it was music, half of it was art.
Uh-huh.
I went in there, and what had the art teachers had?
Huh?
Nothing but noodles. Noodles and noodles. They were gluing noodles to paper. That was a fad. glue and noodles to the paper. They didn't have any supplies at all. A few crayons, paper, yeah. So I got busy, and I made him an art department. I said, Peter Schwartz, you've got an art department blooming right under your nose. And he said, you're the founder of the art department.
Huh? He said what?
He said, you're the founder of the art department.
Okay.
And that's what I'm known as today.
The founder.
And my neighbor across the street bought the house that was for sale, and she went to work for Country Day, and I didn't know that.
Huh?
And yes, right across the street, the young lady, she had given me a little loaf of pumpernickel bread and said, I'm your new neighbor.
Oh, how cute.
And I had taken her, what did I take her? And I said, thank you, I'm your neighbor, and my name is Evelyn Siegel. That's how we met. And I found out today that she went to work for Country Day.
Interesting.
So
how many years did you wind up teaching there, Evelyn?
about 26,
28 years. That's a very wonderful tenure.
They made me a founder, and I have a plaque on the wall.
And then, Evelyn, I met you for the first time when you were the art teacher at Bethel on Sunday, and you set up the whole art department there, because I remember the new building and the art room and your design of it and everything
And
that you
remember
wanted.
what we made?
Ah,
I remember what we made. I got handkerchiefs, men's handkerchiefs, white men's handkerchiefs at the 5 and dime, and we stretched them with Scotch tape, and we made hollow covers.
How cute.
yes.
Was that
men-
a good idea?
That
Betty,
was
I
our
didn't
first.
know that. That was good.
That was our first project,
Uh-huh.
and that was with Ellen Mack.
Right.
Yeah.
Ellen Mack got
She was the superintendent of the Sunday school.
Right.
yeah.
I mean, Maddie,
Yeah. In the old building.
in the old building.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's when I met her,
And-
and that's when I joined the temple.
And, she helped Bob, in that beginning of his having Alzheimer's.
Right,
She really pulled him through the first few, I wouldn't say years, but maybe a year before he could really, become Rabbi Emeritus.
right.
Ralph Mecklenburger always made, you gotta come over here?
No, I just want to bring it closer to you,
Oh,
so we're
okay.
sure that we can capture all that you're
Well,
sharing.
I think they know this in the history of the temple.
Yeah, but they want to hear from your voice.
From what Evie was talking about when she said she and Maddie met at the temple when Evie was the art teacher at the temple on Sunday, I was just reflecting back that Rabbi Mecklenburger and Bob Shore were both rabbis together at the temple for a few years while Bob Shore, Rabbi Bob Shore, was going through a phase of the Alzheimer's in the beginning, and Ellen Mack helped him through those few years he really needed, help, and she did, and then it came, and Ralph was always deferring to Bob Shore. And then finally, they made Bob Shore, Rabbi Emeritus.
Yes.
And Rabbi Ralph was the full rabbi of the temple.
Rosie, I have a question for you.
Okay.
So, even though Ralph was there assisting Bob because he needed help, your spouse, being a mother of 2 children and raising 2 children in a household,
I
your spouse, yes, you did, and your spouse needed assistance when Standard Meats had a problem, and
Well-
you went to work. Tell me about that transition. How you
well, that was I was just asked to talk about when it wasn't all of a sudden, but over a 10-month period, at which time Manny had helped his cousin Irving Rosenthal with his packing house, his meat packing house. We almost went down the drain. Standard Meat Company lost a lot of money because Manny was supplying the money for Irving to run Rosenthal Packing Company, as well as our own company, Standard Meat Company. So Rosenthal Meat Company finally had to take bankruptcy, and Manny Rosenthal, who would not take bankruptcy or Chapter 11, we struggled along, and Manny asked me if I would come to work. And I said, I will. I'd probably be a pair of hands and a pair of legs, but I'll do the best I can. And 24 years later, here I am today. Well, it's many more years now, but when I retired, I had worked 24 years.
Wow.
And loved every minute of it. Even in the very beginning when the sheriff came to see about our trucks, and we didn't have any trucks for him to worry about, fortunately, but because he was going to take the trucks, because I guess we hadn't paid on our whatever it was, But anyway, everybody was most helpful. Mandy got 8 men to sign $10,000 notes. Unfortunately, Martin Siegel was in the same boat we were at the time of our crash. He was having a problem with his company, but we got 8 men, of whom I won't name now, but they helped us, and Manny paid it off in less than 8 months. He paid back the notes, So anyway, it was a trying time, but a very meaningful time for my children and for me. We didn't take the newspaper anymore. We didn't go to the symphony. We didn't go to the ballet, and we didn't go to the opera. And we went once a week to the Mexican restaurant on
8th Avenue.
on Berry Street. On Berry Street. Oh dear, I can't think of the name now. Oh dear, it was a family-owned business, but they had a special on Wednesday nights, $2.75. And Mandy and Billy and I went. I was not a great Mexican eater, but I got cheese tacos, and I eat them to this day. But anyway, it was the most, as I said, challenging time. And Manny went to work in Dallas for his cousin for 10 months is all, and came back so that he could rejuvenate Standard Meat Company. And here we are today.
Fabulous. Okay.
I can put it on there. I think.
I'm coming.
No, I can't really reach it. I don't have very good reaching.
That's okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm not going to let this soup go.
Oh no,
So I
finish it. And then I want you to tell me, Evelyn, after all, a mother of 4 boys.
Oh, I forgot to go into my children and my...
I'll bring the phone back or okay. 4 boys, teaching school, teaching at the temple, And then how did you transition to then become an art dealer? You were a woman of modern times, of modern age, to do all that. So tell me how you transitioned to have this fabulous art business and support local artists and artists near and far.
How did I do it?
Yeah.
Stamina.
God only knows. I had a husband that believed that I could do anything. Martin really supported everything I ever wanted to do. And that's what it takes. The love and support of your mate. And I said, I'm not going to teach anymore. When you teach, you have to be here at a certain time. You know, you can't be out doing things. You have to be in the classroom. It says 8 o'clock, you're in the classroom 8 o'clock. So let's do something fun. He said, well, you've always wanted to sell art. Let's have an art gallery. And we found that, what's her name, wanted to sell her art gallery.
Who?
The lady on the corner. What was her name? I can't remember. She wanted to sell her gallery. And I had bought art from her. I've got art on the walls today I had bought from her. I can't think of her name. And I made a proposition to her, Martin did, a proposition to her that we would buy her gallery. And she grabbed it. Mm-hmm. She grabbed it. And I changed the name from her name to my name.
Right.
And I was in business.
Did you have mostly local artists, or
No.
did you reach out to the greater art community and pull people in?
I did. Across the street was a Jewish woman who had she lived in this neighborhood. What was her name? She was an art dealer. She and another woman had like...
Oh, wait, hold on a minute. Was that Shani Fenton?
Wasn't Shandy?
Shani Fenton?
No.
No.
Well, that was a Jewish art dealer.
Yeah. It wasn't
Was a
Shani.
Jewish art dealer.
She since has moved. She moved to Philadelphia. She had a partner, and they closed their space, and they went
I have
in
no
various
idea what it was.
directions.
Uh-huh.
But, you know, it was a dream, and I worked very hard at it. But I found out one thing about people buying art, and particularly the people who were buying art in Fort Worth. They weren't the Jewish people that I knew. They were the people whose kids I had taught in school, but they went to New York.
To buy the art, as opposed to
They
buying
would look
local.
at it in my gallery and then go to New York to buy it. Oh, what's her name told me that. She said, don't be disappointed. The people here will come and peruse your gallery and then go to New York and buy it.
Was that a status thing, that they felt that if it came from New York,
Yes.
that it had more value,
Uh-huh.
even though you had the exact same piece?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh,
How many years did you have your gallery, Evelyn?
25.
Oh my goodness.
And I worked very hard at it.
Oh wow. Did you have a favorite artist that you had? Did you enjoy the shows and having people come and visit?
I had some local artists that were fabulous.
Stephanie. Evelyn.
Who?
Stephanie, John Burke's wife.
Stephanie Burke.
Uh-huh.
She came to work for me when she graduated from college. She came to work for me. Yep. Oh, I had Evelyn Sellers. I did a show for Evelyn and sold the
That
show.
was an artist, though.
Uh-huh. A sculptor. Sold the show out.
Do you know, Evelyn, my Maddie took the frog, you know, that I had bought from you,
Yeah.
that Evelyn Sellers had done.
Yeah.
She has that.
Maddie took it.
Aw.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
So, Rosie, you wanted to talk about your kids and how they handled you going to work and what
Very
life
interesting.
was like, because you were no longer at home tending to them. You were busy for umpteen years.
I didn't have my housekeeper either anymore.
Right. So you were.
To continue with Roz Rosenthal's sojourn, when Manny asked me if I would come to the office, at that time, Marcia Rosenthal, my oldest child, who was 17, was going off to Washington University in St. Louis, and she came down with mononucleosis and could not go for the beginning of school. That was one thing. Manny sent her money for her tuition with a friend in St. Louis and said, "You keep it. When my daughter gets there, will you please put it in her bank?" And I, gave her all the particulars so that she'll be okay to go into Washington University.
Very good.
And he told his friend not to, if Manny said to her, "If I call you, Stan, do not take that money out and send it to me, because I'm in very big straits here." That was number one. That was Marcia. Billy had gotten possession of his grandfather's car. Mr. Ben Rosenthal was my grandfather. Was my father-in-law and Billy's grandpa. Billy became Manny's import and exporter. He would go to Dallas to get $10,000 from his insurance, borrow, bring it to Manny. Manny paid the help, and then Billy would go back as soon as we could then pay back, and Billy drove back. This was a 14-year-old. He had gotten his license when he was 14. The great crash happened in August 1965. We had built this wonderful house on Hildring Drive and had only lived in it, I would say, 2.5 years when this happened. So I just felt I couldn't live in that house and know we owe Manny and I owed money to different, people. So we sold the house, actually, to a good friend, Ike Has. His family was the Sealy Mattress Company. But anyway, and we moved into my mother-in-law's house. My mother-in-law died in 1963, I guess it was, or 64. Must have been 63. My father-in-law remarried a lovely woman, Florence, her maiden name was Florence Skolberg. Her father and mother were residents of Fort Worth, and her two brothers were doctors in Fort Worth. And they also had, no, wrong story. I'm losing my train of thought here just a minute. I digress just a minute. Well, anyway, Manny told all his employees that they could leave. He'd give them good recommendations because he didn't know if he could pay them each week. And in turn, every one of them said, we're staying with you, Mr. Rosenthal. We'll take our chances. And only 2 who were steak cutters who did leave Standard Meat Company because they knew we would not be doing, meat, regular first-class meat anymore. And that leads me into another story because we went into the Pizza Hut business making 100 pounds of pizza topping. And Manny decided if he could make 100 pounds of pizza topping, he could make 1,000 pounds. And he went up to Kansas.
Piece of stuff.
Was it pepperoni or was it?
No, it was just meat toppings. He knew he could make 1,000 pounds of meat topping. And he went up to Kansas, Missouri, not Kansas City, but Kansas, Missouri.
Kansas City, Missouri.
No, he didn't go. It wasn't city. They weren't in the city. In any event, they had already gotten a person to do their meat topping, but they did give Manny also a concession to make meat topping for Pizza Hut. And we became one of the main purveyors of Pizza Hut's topping. And then the people that were doing the Pizza Hut in Fort Worth, the Pizza Hut was well known by the young people. It was where University Park is now, where the stores are. But at that time, it was a Pizza Hut right there on the corner of University and whatever the side street was then. It's a restaurant now. I think it's, well, I can't remember for sure. Anyway, Art Broyles decided we were working too hard, so he took us to dinner in Dallas to a steak and ale restaurant, and it was wonderful. We came home, and then Manny had a visitor from Cincinnati, Ohio, and Manny said, let's take him to the steak and ale, because his wife's from Britain, and it's like a pub. Off we went, and he said to Manny, get me a franchise, and Manny said, I certainly will, and Manny went over to Dallas to get the franchise, and they said they don't franchise. He asked the man if he could just talk to him, the vice president, and he said, I could give you 10 minutes, and if you want to hear of something that's amazing, he said, I'm going to the Shady Oak restaurant in Dallas. Do you know it? And Manny said, oh, very well. We had been there twice. He met him. The man said, I always say Manny didn't say hello in 3 minutes or 10 minutes, but after about 30 minutes or 40 minutes, he said to Manny, I want you to meet my president, Norman Brinker. And there the story unfolded to us being the purveyors for steak and ale, which pulled us right out of the rut. And here we are today. Thank you.
I'm coming around.
Huh?
I assume coming around to get the phone. Okay.
Your sandwich is delicious.
Oh, good. Please enjoy. We're busy.
I am enjoying.
Okay.
That was so delicious. Eat your sandwich. It is absolutely delicious.
Good. So, since you're all busy talking and not eating some of the food, Evelyn, I wanted to talk to you a little more about, Rosie mentioned that even Martin was having financial
Right at the
problems
same time.
right at the
Oh,
same
yes.
time. And, both of you had husbands and you supported that were very successful and supported you in your success. But both of you had very hard times, and both families, because of it or part of it or your upbringing or whatever, are very philanthropic, have been incredibly generous. Evelyn, you and Martin, very, very generous to the temple and to all of your art endeavors and things in the community. Tell me, what is it in you, and I'll let you speak to it, Rosie, too, that you felt or allowed you to be so generous and give back to the community? Did your growing up lead you in that direction?
I'll tell you one thing. My mother, who was born in Riga and came to this country just to start school, and she never graduated from high school. She used to say, I'm a dummy. She was no dummy, but she never did have a high school diploma or anything.
Alma.
And she supported, I don't see her.
Go ahead, Eddie.
I don't know what it is that you learn from your parents. My father was a shopkeeper, and I had to work on weekends down at the store to help. And as I grew older and went to college, I used to man the store for him because he would have to go on a buying trip for luggage or jewelry or whatever he was after. I learned to take in pawn goods because it was the war, and he had a pawn department, and I learned to take in pawn shop deals. And at the same time,
Alma.
I was doing, I don't see her.
Huh?
Can I help you, Rosie? Is this something you want?
Okay, go ahead. If she comes, I want more tea.
Well, here, I'll do that for you. Go ahead, you finish, Evelyn,
I'm
about
sorry.
Mommy and Daddy. That's okay.
I don't know where she is.
Maybe she's not hearing.
Huh?
So tell me more about that. So your mom and dad were self-made, as
Yeah,
And-
I worked in the store.
right.
I worked in the store.
I can't
And I
pick it up.
worked in the house.
Heavy.
We were kosher. We were absolutely 100% kosher. And Friday night, everything shut down till we bench licht. We had the Friday night candles, and the kettle was boiling the water because my mother wouldn't even boil water. I mean, I was brought up in a real religious home.
Was there something in that religious home in terms of, to give, to invite someone to your table?
Let me tell you a story I told to an audience of 150 people.
Okay.
When I asked them to give to our organization, it was our centers, which are black and white and everything else. And I said, take your hand out of your pocket with a few coins in it. Every month, be thankful for what is. We had one in our home it was blue,
Right.
the blue box,
The blue box.
and it was on the stove, which was a freestanding stove. And we gave to tzedakah. Tzedakah, you gave to others, and once a year the men in long black coats came around and collected the money. They did it in Philadelphia. My mother
Absolutely.
brought
Yeah.
to this country in Baltimore. I was raised in the summertime in Baltimore. And you learn,
Is that where you were raised?
no, in the summertime.
In the summer.
Oh, her mother.
In the summertime, my mother went to Baltimore
Right.
to take care of her mother because her brother, who was single, took care of her all winter. And then we went up in the summer and took care of her.
Charged from.
That's right.
His
And
mother.
I met somebody that is living on the street, East Pratt Avenue, 1522 East Pratt Avenue. That's where my bubby lived. I mean, you learn all. If you're fortunate, you learn by what you see. I saw a family held together, 7 of them coming over on a ship and living in Baltimore. And I saw the outhouse that my puppy had to use. And when I was 14, I saw my mother die. She had cancer.
That's the worst.
And she died. And my brother and I were 5. He was 5 and I was 14. You learn everything you know in your life is something that you have experienced, whether you let it be a part of you or you throw it away. I learned to be what I hope is generous. I want to be, you know. I think you should teach your children to have a certain amount of generosity by being generous yourself, not saying you have to be generous and give it away. I'm giving this away because this person needs it more than I do, and I can do without it. I don't think there's any magic to it, Maddie. I think we all learn by what we see and what we do. If we do something that's wrong and our kids have to see us put in jail, you've learned the worst of the worst. And when you've done, like Billy Rosenthal, I could just squeeze him every time. Roseanne's going to kill me one day.
What?
Billy Rosenthal. I love him so much. Every time I see him, I want to squeeze him. And I saw her bathing him one time when I came to the house on Harlanwood. She had him in the bathtub. And I say, I saw you getting a bath when you were a little boy.
That's true.
But I still look at him with such admiration, you know, his generosity, his
kindness.
oh, he's so
was a kind
so
man.
good.
It's
And you
real
know what he
mensch.
always says to me? I love you because you're so good to my mother. He's always telling me I'm good to his mother.
That's true, though.
You know, I love her because we have similar thoughts about doing it.
That's true.
We do.
We really do.
Rosie, you tell me when your children have followed in your footsteps, and the same with you, Evelyn.
Okay.
They're all generous and kind and loving, and you know, when I see Terry, it's always a big hug. And the same with Billy. Okay.
Thank you.
So when did you and Manny, I mean, you had such hardship and then,
No, wait.
Okay.
It's interesting that Maddie is saying we had such hardship. The interesting thing about that
You remember
that
that we had?
Yes.
that
They're all gone except you and me and your husband.
Yeah, the original group.
Who's here?
We're gonna let her talk.
I want to hear what you're
They
saying.
were in that group.
we're talking about our Havara. It was Evelyn and Martin.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what, Evelyn? We're at that very same stage that you and Martin were. Because we're seeing our friends who are a little older than we are with their passing. And other friends have gone off in different directions. And we're saying, where's our network? Where's our friends? Who can I discuss things with? Who can I share? So Evelyn and Martin, they went through a whole list. It was everyone at the temple. And they selected. And we were so unique because we were honored that we were asked if we wanted to join this Havara. But we had people in every age bracket. That was done deliberately, that they chose people from different ages. So people who were 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. And we got together, we tried once a month to get together, and we would actually have dinner at one of our homes. And we had to come up with a topic. The hostess came up with a topic for discussion. And I remember going on the internet and researching all these things, but some of the conversations were fabulous. And the thing was that it was multi-generational. So you had everyone coming with a different viewpoint, sharing. Because once again, just as Evelyn had said, we're the sum of our experiences. But our age, we had many different experiences because we had lived through different times and because we were younger and perhaps had not experienced things yet. And we sat around the dinner table and...
But why don't you talk into this about it?
I think that I think it probably carried.
Huh?
But anyway, that's what Evelyn was saying.
Okay.
We had the most amazing group of people, and that doesn't exist now either because many of those people have passed. Erwin was part of that.
Dr.
group.
Lucy just died.
Yeah.
Who just died?
Stan and
Stan
Marsha.
Kurtz.
Did you have Stan in that?
Stan and Marsha were part of the group.
Dear.
It was
Yeah.
very,
He
very
must have
interesting.
stolen the show.
He did talk a lot, but it was interesting in the beginning. He was much more talking about
Himself.
his experiences. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he had experiences.
Right.
That he could share. Okay, so Rosie, you tell me what you were going to share about how you and Manny came to be.
Maddie just asked me, she said about difficult times, and actually with Manny at the helm, which was true, we really succeeded to go ahead, and as I told you, we did Pizza Hut, and then we did Steak and Hail, and of course then we were written up in Forbes magazine because Manny devised a system to package the steaks so they would last for 2 weeks on the shelf. And it was a system that he devised, and he was doing it at the plant. They were doing it themselves, extruding the air out, and he finally said to Cryovac, if I can do it in my own plant, you can devise a package for me that I won't have to, I can skip one of the treatments to this, making the steaks good for 2 weeks, and they did. So we were in Forbes magazine about it. There was a picture of Manny with the banker, because the banker supported us. Anyway, it was a terrific time in the lives of my 2 children, as I said, because they both learned how to conserve. Marcia worked while she was at Washington U. She worked at the post office, and Billy worked 2 jobs. One job. No, it was 2 jobs. He worked at Zales with David Sampson after school, and then on Saturdays he went downtown to the shoe company. It was one of the less, of course, very much less expensive shoes. Can't think of the name right now. And he used to come home and say, Mom, he would say, I got another quarter because I sold bows for the shoes. And if I sold a pair of stockings, I got 25 cents more. So you realize this was in a time when we were all, I think, well, the Depression was fairly much over by then, yeah. But anyway, it was a wonderful learning time for us. And we have a huge picture with a steer on it, and we left the herd. Because after that, when Manny was coming back to be able to do what he wanted to do with the company, it was a whole transformation of the way Manny did business. So we actually, Manny, who graduated from A&M, and he graduated in, of course, meat sciences, which was brand new when Manny went off to college. And he said he wanted something in meats, and they have a packing house right at A&M, and he took, meat sciences, and I forget what the other thing, and he was also editor of the college paper. So anyway, all in all, we came out of it smelling like a rose. And once we were dandelions, but we came out of it like a rose. And our children really profited from it. Billy is really a throwback, actually, when we get back, when we really think about how he reacts sometimes to the spending of money. But anyway, all in all, I had dismissed my housekeeper of 16 years, and I had a woman once a week come to clean my house, and we moved into Grandma Bell's house, as I started to tell you before, because she died, and Dad's second wife did not want to stay in the house. So we opted to just buy the house and move into it. And it was on Sweetbriar Lane. And
I'm not getting the drift of what she's saying.
Yeah.
And
She's telling her story. Rosie, tell us how, from this experience of losing things and building back, how you learned to give to other people and to share your good fortune, which you amazingly have done.
It was an interesting thing, Maddie, asking that question. I was raised in a household where, as Evelyn said, tzedakah was very important. Yeah. Daddy, even though we didn't have a lot of money because he lost so much money in the stock market, Mother never changed our way of living. And when I was asked just recently by Billy, how was it during the Depression, Mom, for you? And I said, Billy, I never felt anything during the Depression because Nana, is what they call my mother, never changed her way of living. So actually I didn't feel any depression at all. However, I knew and watched my father always gave to the synagogue and wherever he could. And my mother had all the parties to raise money in our yard, in our garden, because she was president of the sisterhood during the Depression. She took it for two years. She took it 2 times, the presidency. And for $1, everyone came to Mother's garden to have a garden party, and Mother did that. So actually, I learned tzedakah at home. When I was given the award for the Conference of Christians and Jews, I started out, and Evelyn reminded me of it, I started out by saying that I learned to be charitable from my father because we always gave. If we had more, when we had less, we gave less, and when we had more, we gave more. And I learned tzedakah, and I said that at the Conference of Christians and Jews too, Evie, with all those people, that I learned tzedakah at a very young age. Also, we used to bring tzedakah to Sunday school every Sunday.
Every Sunday.
And do you
We
know-
brought tzedakah.
Yeah, Edwin Cohen always collected the tzedakah at the Sunday school.
Right.
Do you know that at 80, is he 88? He plays tennis with my Aaron every Wednesday.
Oh, that's nice.
He plays tennis. He's 80 something. I think he's 88. He's playing tennis.
He's
Our
fabulous. And he
tzedakah
was so
player.
sweet. He did the
He
roll,
was-
collected all the papers on Sunday.
Yes, he
So the
did.
kids called. I'm going to. Would you like dessert? Are you finished?
I would love it, yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to add one thing. When Billy went off to the University of Texas,
Would you like?
he worked 2 jobs. He worked at the shoe store. They gave him a reference at the shoe store that was down at Austin, and he worked at Steak and Ale. He was a busboy first, and then he got a job as a waiter at Steak and Ale.
That's it. It's
I'm
cream
going to
cheese.
do that.
It was a great learning time for all of us.
For myself.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh wow. I hope it was recorded.